And you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, you know, telling me they love me and, you know, just turn their back on you in a second.
People don't know how serious it got. Like, it was legit crazy scary. I was waking up in the morning and the first thing I was doing is popping pills and smoking a blunt and starting my day. You know, so it just got scary. I basically said to myself, I'm like, God, if you're real, you get me through this season of stopping these pills and stuff, and if you do, I'll do the rest of the work.
I mean, what's the odds that you would do that in front of the camera? Like, that's one of the moments where you forgot he was on.
For years, the public has been presented with a familiar narrative about Justin Bieber and Sean Diddy Combs. A gifted teenager enters the music industry, is mentored by a powerful figure, and rises to global fame. On the surface, it appears to be a typical success story, but recent claims connected to the Diddy documentary suggest that this version only reveals a fraction of the truth. According to statements linked to the project, Justin Bieber has said he saw far more than what viewers were shown, including footage, conversations, and moments that were ultimately removed from the final cut. More seriously, he has indicated that he did not merely witness these events as an outsider, but lived through many of them himself. As Diddy's protege, Bieber was deeply immersed in his world from a very young age, learning how power, influence, and fame truly operate behind the scenes. While this access shaped his career, it also exposed him to experiences the public was never meant to see. The documentary, reportedly influenced by 50 Cent, explores not just Diddy's rise, but the environment surrounding him, the power, secrecy, and silence that followed. Old footage now carries a disturbing weight, especially scenes showing a very young Bieber spending extended private time under Diddy's supervision, once framed as mentorship, but now raising serious concerns in light of Bieber's later admissions about how destructive that period of his life was. He's openly stated that the darkness he endured was so severe he doubts he would have survived had it continued, giving critical context to what was edited out and revealing a far more complex and troubling picture of that era.
All this because she came in as she's like 18, like 19 years old. In the very beginning, after a while, over time, you condition.
The voices featured in the documentary come from people who were once inside the inner circle: former associates, security staff, artists, and insiders who describe an environment driven by control and fear. They recount behavior that spiraled out of control, spaces where excess was normalized, and situations that pushed individuals to their limits. These are not distant or second-hand allegations, but first-hand accounts from people who claim they barely escaped with their lives. When the documentary was released on Netflix in early December, the reaction was immediate and intense, with clips spreading rapidly and viewers shocked by the bluntness of the claims, especially given that Diddy is currently incarcerated and awaiting trial. The timing alone made it feel as though a long-standing line had finally been crossed. Yet it soon became clear that this was still not the complete story. 50 Cent himself suggested that only a portion of what he uncovered made it to the screen, with some material deemed too dangerous to air, and other stories still unfolding as the series went live, prompting new individuals to come forward as the silence began to break. To understand why certain details remain buried, one must look back at the history surrounding Bad Boy Records itself, as the late 1990s were about far more than just music.
The hip-hop is fine with its behaviors. There's no one else being vocal. So you would look at it and just say, because that mind your business, or let me not say nothing about nothing, or those things, it would allow the entire culture to register as if they're for that behavior.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time. Because you'll see people saying that. I mean, he may feel a different way about pieces and bits of it, but he knows the truth. I think he'll see the truth in it.
They were years defined by territory, power, and survival. When Biggie was killed in Los Angeles in 1997, shockwaves tore through the music industry, and while the official narrative focused on the loss of a legend and the East Coast-West Coast rivalry, behind the scenes there was panic. Artists and insiders were suddenly scattered, exposed, and unsure of who could be trusted, while members of the bad boy circle faced their own threats that same night. One artist later described being effectively trapped, isolated, and surrounded by people he feared might harm him, as those who should have protected him vanished, shattering any illusion of loyalty and revealing that it was no longer about family or brotherhood, but pure self-preservation. In the years that followed, subtle clues emerged through guarded interviews where artists chose their words carefully, hinting at documents, knowledge, and experiences that could not be openly shared without consequences, sending a clear message that being inside that world meant knowing things dangerous enough to stay silent about. This is why Justin Bieber's comments carry such weight, because when he says he saw everything, including what was removed, it sounds less like exaggeration and more like recognition of a familiar pattern: early access, silence disguised as protection, and experiences buried for years. The 50 Cent documentary does not just expose one man, it pulls on a thread connecting decades of unchecked power, and Bieber's story may be one of the clearest examples of how long that thread truly is. The series does not merely omit small details, but avoids entire people, timelines, and perspectives that would have made the story far more uncomfortable, including a major missing chapter centered on Justin Bieber, not as background footage, but as a narrative so sensitive it was avoided entirely. In 2009, Bieber was just 15 years old, a Canadian teenager newly discovered online, singing in his bedroom with no understanding of the industry, no power, and a very small world. And it was at that vulnerable moment that he entered Diddy's orbit.
Good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my,
That same year, Diddy uploaded a video to his YouTube channel titled Justin Bieber 48 Hours with Diddy, which on the surface appeared lighthearted, a powerful music executive spending time with the next big star. Diddy framed it as a dream scenario for a teenager, but the tone shifted when he stated on camera that he had custody of Bieber for 48 hours and added that where they were going and what they would be doing could not be disclosed. That detail is what continues to trouble viewers today, because it was said publicly about a 15-year-old minor spending 2 full days alone with one of the most powerful figures in music, with secrecy emphasized as a condition. At the time, it was presented casually, but in hindsight, it feels deeply inappropriate. In the video, Bieber appears smiling and excited, yet context changes everything. His youth, vulnerability, and later admissions about how overwhelming and destructive that period of his life became. After Diddy's arrest, the clip resurfaced and was widely described by viewers as unsettling and disturbing, yet it was notably absent from 50 Cent's documentary, with no reference or discussion at all. In 2025, Bieber's team released a carefully worded statement clarifying that he was not identifying himself as a victim of Diddy, while simultaneously acknowledging that others were genuinely harmed, a distinction that suggested knowledge without disclosure and survival without explanation. Bieber himself has spoken openly about how dark that era was, stating he does not believe he would be alive today had it continued, crediting stepping away and finding stability as what saved him. When those statements are viewed alongside the 2009 video, difficult questions emerge about what truly happened during those 48 hours, why secrecy was so heavily emphasized, and why this footage was omitted from a documentary claiming to expose the truth. Justin Bieber is not the only case, as years earlier, another child star, Usher, was placed in Diddy's care in the early 1990s, when at just 13 years old, he was sent to live with him in New York under an arrangement known as Puffy Flavor Camp.
To New York City. And I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
in the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at.
On paper, the arrangement was presented as mentorship, exposure, and an opportunity to learn the music business. But Usher has since described that year as chaotic and overwhelming. At just 13 years old, he was living full-time in an adult environment filled with nonstop parties, powerful industry figures, and situations he was far too young to fully understand or process.
Say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people are hanging around.
Yeah, man. Faith Evans. Jodeci, Mary J. Blige, they didn't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time, you know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 in the morning with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up.